Okay, beautiful, and welcome guys. Welcome to our very first live stream. This is a dual stream, so we're streaming directly into Telegram as well as YouTube. If you'd like to participate with us on the chat front, then definitely YouTube is going to be where you want to be. And we welcome your comments and feedback right there. So as you can see down below, we're going to jump into a couple things this morning, or this afternoon rather, and we're going to jump straight into the news, what's busy happening in the world, as we get a quick update as we look at opening up in the markets. So let's jump straight in, and we're about to get started. So let's have a look. Beautiful. Okay guys, so first things first, the FSCA in South Africa is not playing games, right? We see a 20 million rand fine as well as a ban from the FSCA for 2 years, right? The FSCA is not playing games, and that's just another reason that you can be proud to be with Globex 360, as we're always pushing to sort of make sure we're always ahead of the curve in terms of regulation, and obviously making sure that we look after every single one of our clients. So just a very interesting read and article. You can go ahead and find this on Fin24, and obviously all the details there in terms of what happened and how do we even get to that particular point. Now, the rest of the world is all speaking about recession. As I said this morning, that is going to be one of the top items. No matter where you look, you're going to see the words recession, you're going to see the words depression. You can't avoid it, right? The whole world is speaking about that, but again, the markets are showing us something a little bit different. Now, today being Labor Day holiday in the US, we can just see the power of the US dollar in terms of how dominant it is in pretty much halting markets across the board. So very slow day in the markets, but we are going to jump into that in a second. But the look across all first world countries is that living costs are going up, unemployment will have to increase, and at the same time interest rates are increasing. So these are all knock-on effects of this massive bull market that we've had over the past couple years. And this word recession, right, everyone here hears this very scary term, and the recession is just a technical term for a correction, right? In every market, whether it's a bull market, bear market, there can't be a continuous movement. It has to move and it has to correct. So these continued seasons of growth have to correct at some point, and that's just all we're seeing. And that, I believe, is the beauty of being able to be within the markets, is to have that ability to speculate. And being able to trade CFDs means that we don't have to take either way. We don't have to be invested in a long position. We can also short the markets. So we're people invest into these, these asset classes are stuck. If it goes down, they lose money. We can obviously speculate. And I think that is where we're going to see in the next quarter some insane opportunities across all markets, across all boards. Now, we are going to be focusing and diversifying a little bit more. And I know for many of you, the New York Stock Exchange Open represents an opportunity to trade NASDAQ, opportunity to trade Dow Jones, but we are going to start looking at throughout the days, how do we diversify into other classes, into commodities, back into FX, as well as indices, but how do we look at opportunities across a broader spectrum and across a broader area? So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the markets as we have a look at what opportunities lie for us. Now, being Labor Day in the US, it gives us a great opportunity because markets are moving slow. In an ordinary fashion, we would be waiting for that 3:30 bell, and then we would just see absolute chaos. So let's have a look at what's busy happening now, and if the markets are moving a bit slower, and what opportunities are available to us. Now, as we evolve this, we will have more opportunities to take live, more setups that we will develop within the week, and we will wait for price to achieve those levels. And New York Stock Exchange Open represents an opportunity of increased volatility. So when price action and external factors meet, we call that a perfect storm, and that's where we have these massive breakout opportunities which we can then take advantage of live. Okay, so let's jump straight and let's have a look at what it is we can potentially look at for today. So we're quickly just going to look at the Euro USD, and that's just that we can cover our bases in terms of just fully understanding how slow the dollar is currently moving. And the dollar is quite literally just trickling ahead, right? This is a 30-minute time frame, and we can see that we've had very little movement today. We are net equal, net neutral in terms of the complete move for today, right? So a slight move down, slight move up, and nothing else much happening there. Now, moving on to the indices. As I discussed this morning, we could see that US 30 was sitting on that 61.8, that Fibonacci level, and we see it just pretty much hovering right there. And that, again, is just a further indication of obviously looking out for those fundamentals and making sure that in this particular case, we have a holiday, which is fine, right? No harm, no foul. But what you don't want to do is be opening a position and there's some massive news, new interest rate announcements, something of that nature that could cause insane volatility that you weren't necessarily prepared for. So as we can see, and we can really drop down to a 1 minute time frame, we pretty much have a fairly flat market. This is a 1 minute time frame, and we can see that markets are pretty much range bound at this point, and we are adhering to that 61.8. So in the last couple minutes, we see that markets on the New York Stock Exchange bell pretty much have started that slight sell-off, but not quite enough yet to consider as a big move. Now, if you were scalping this market and you were looking at micro trading, then yes, you could have considered this little break-in structure something that we'd want to trade. So in the future, for New York Stock Exchange opens, we are utilizing today as a crash course in terms of how to be ready and how to prepare for it. But in the future, we will start a few minutes earlier. So we'll start around about 5 to 10 minutes prior to the bell happening. We will create a setup and we'll create a structure. And then ultimately, the easiest way of trading it, one of the easiest strategies to deal with this is to simply deal with the breakout of structure. Now, this is a great tool you can use across any indice, any commodity, any asset class. But what I really like about the US 30s, the German 30 as well as NASDAQ, is we can utilize the RSI to kind of cheat the system a little bit. And let me show you how. So if we observe our RSI here down below, we see we've got a market structure, and in some cases that market structure is not perfectly clear. What we can do is utilize the RSI, right, to simply look for that breakout and retest and move down. Now, if we observe what we actually can see here, we can see that the RSI gave us a breakout right before the breakout even happened. So I'd like for you to observe that on your side. Let me know what it is you're seeing. But the RSI basically broke out, retested before the structure itself even broke. And so this is one of the tools we're going to utilize in the future, and that you can utilize to look for early breakouts where the strength or the relative strength index of that particular instrument starts to show weakness before we visibly can see it from a price action perspective. So in the future, these setups will be done. We'll arrive a few minutes prior, and we will simply set up a bunch of rules. So if a market moves out of a certain area, we would take a long, we would place our stop losses, we would do our risk management, and that's how we would basically set up for the New York Stock Exchange. The next item would be looking at correlation between German 30, NASDAQ, as well as then obviously tying that back into our Dow Jones. Right, so we can see we had a very similar move, and this is currently German 30, and we more than likely had a very similar move again if we look at, so we have almost an opposite move. Let's just see if it was just updating. There we go. So we would like to get that correlation. Okay, my chart's deciding they want to update. So we can see that NASDAQ initially followed the move of Dow Jones, but ultimately broke out higher. So when you see all of them in correlation, then you're seeing a very strong move. When you see one outside of that bandwagon, and that obviously just comes down to understanding how an index is grouped. Obviously NASDAQ being tech stocks, Dow Jones obviously being broader high cap US listed entities, and the German 30 generally follows Dow Jones quite closely. So when we see all three of them moving in the same direction, it adds to the case in terms of a long or a short. Now, quickly having a look at where we are on gold. Gold has pretty much not made any significant moves from our analysis at the time of this morning, right? And again, that just goes to show you the power of the United States dollar, and when you remove that volume from the markets, how the markets just completely stand dead still. So it shows us as well, after a public holiday, we will see an influx of trades. So looking at the close of the US market tonight and the opening of the day tomorrow, we will start to see a lot of movement, a lot of volatility, some adhering to price action and some breaking out. So days like this are perfect to put the hours in, get your analysis in, and then obviously prepare yourself for those very next big moves, which generally happen to follow on the very next day after a public holiday. So we don't have a lot of movement in the market. ZAR again has been pretty much dead flat. We're seeing across the FX space that we're getting net neutral positions for the day, so neither higher neither lower, slight move, slight volatility, but we're kind of really capping out at equal. Where we opened is where we closed, and so we're going to utilize the rest of the day in order to further look at the markets and make sure we have correct setups moving into tomorrow, where we could see more volatility. As we obviously move into the week, Thursday I believe is going to be the day of the most volatility. Again, pointing to this morning session, we obviously have the European Central Bank getting together and more than likely discussing interest rates and policy changes. And then again, we also have Powell, who has caused massive shockwaves in the markets over the past couple of weeks in his change in tone. Now, I don't think that tone is going to change. I think he is sticking with the fact that, you know, we need, or at least the US market needs to well prepare themselves for some pain. Now, will that fully relate into the indices and commodities? We're going to have to wait and see. So we're going to start to look at past trends, right? What has happened during or post recession in the past to better understand what is busy happening at this moment in time. Now, guys, if you have Guardian Angel installed on your PC, you'll start to get updates, as many of you have currently already seen, as and when we have future information. So whether we have a live session, whether we have a newsletter, whether we have a pre-recorded session, it will pop up right in your terminal, as you can see right here. Now, if you don't have Guardian Angel installed, there will be a link that I'll pop into the group. If you have a Globex MT4, it will automatically pair and install into MT4, and it acts as a personal assistant to your trades to give you information and analytics in real time about some of your trading activities, some of your wins, some of your losses, so on and so forth. So I highly recommend get that installed, navigate and play around. There are going to be some big changes and updates coming into it as we add more assets for it to monitor and just upgrade a few features here and there in between. But ultimately, these live sessions are here for you. So if you have a request, if you have something that you specifically like trading, please drop it in the comments and say, you know, I love trading oil, Brent, can we do this, can we do that? And we will start to open up more sessions within the week, especially as the groups evolve, to go into detailed analysis for and based on your requests. So that is what this channel is really set up to do, is to create an interactive environment where, you know, we can impart and help and teach and also learn in terms of new instruments in the markets, in terms of where things are busy going. So please obviously make sure you check that out. Now, in terms of the rest of the items, in terms of following us, guys, please make sure you are following us on Instagram. There's going to be a lot of new developments coming over all of our social media platforms, and it's just an easy way to stay updated. Over and above Guardian Angel, you know, everybody's pretty much glued to their phones, and that's probably one of the best ways to look us up and get more information and more feedback. So make sure you are part of that too. So tomorrow, you can set your times, you can set your alarms. We'll be live every single day to look at the New York Stock Exchange. And as we evolve, we'll start to create new time slots to take opportunities in the London session, to close up the US session. And so the dream and the goal is to grow this live broadcast to the point where you have multiple hosts looking at markets, updating, giving feedback. And so the ultimate goal is to grow this into a fully 24/7 live operation. But that can only happen with your support. So if you enjoy it, if you have some feedback, please, as always, drop it in the comments. Let us know how we can improve and how we can change this to best suit you and your particular needs. All right, so In terms of market moves, I gave the market a scan a little bit earlier. There's nothing of substance here for us. There is micro trades available, as I said, US 30, smaller items that are busy moving, but nothing of magnitude. Now, what you want to do in order not to miss out anything, specifically referring to and speaking to US 30 in the course of this evening, is make sure that you have your Fibonacci drawn out. Now, for those of you who would like templates of the trading charts that we analyze, we will be dropping that into the group, as well as a video of how to take those templates and install it on your MT4. So if you'd like our analysis and you'd like to just copy and paste that on your PC so you can monitor, we will be providing that in the groups for you. And it's just a click of a button, copy paste, a few clicks, and you're pretty much sorted. But ultimately, if you don't have your Fibonacci laid out on US 30, all I want you to do at this point in time is isolate this current support that we are sitting at, and we are merely looking for a breakout above this market structure and holding current support where we're sitting at the moment. At the moment, US 30 is currently trading at $31,397. So that is the area you want to isolate, and any breaks or moves there on after is what we will consider tradable. But again, remember, we need to clear resistance in order for this trade to be valid. A bounce of resistance and a rejection of that resistance level could mean a further move down, and that will go down to the 78.6. Now, I think one of the more exciting potential opportunities we have that is going to come up in this week is definitely going to be around the crypto space. So I will be doing a separate video specifically on crypto, specifically aiming at Bitcoin, because there's a fascinating history and beautiful price action in terms of what it has adhered to in the past and where it's going in the future. So that will need its own content and its own video. So stay tuned. If you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead, like and subscribe, so when that video goes live, you're the first one to get it. Outside of that, guys, not much going to be available for us to trade this afternoon. So without further ado, we are going to love and leave you. We'll see you bright and early in the morning. Tomorrow you will have your pre-recorded session by around 7 o'clock. We're just getting the timing right, but if we can have it in your hands bright and early, that is going to be the ultimate goal. And then I will again see you guys live tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, and that is going to be an explosive session. We can see massive moves being made. We're going to trade live, we're going to do risk management live, take in your comments and feedback live, and then ultimately we're going to feed your comments into the show so you can interact with us on a live basis. Okay, just another point to clarify. If you're watching us through Telegram, the latency is as close to 0 as humanly possible. If you're watching us on YouTube, the latency is closer to about 20 seconds. So if you're watching us tomorrow and you're on YouTube, by the time we take a trade and by the time you see it, there could be about a 20-second delay, right? And that's just a disclaimer that you need to be aware of. Okay. Beautiful, guys. Thank you for your time. It is a US public holiday, but it was a great opportunity to utilize to get you familiar with the formats that we will be taking moving forward. Outside of that, guys, hope you have an amazing day, and we will see you soon. Shalom.